You're watching Reason and Theology Live, a show dedicated to charitable discussion, debates, interviews, commentary, and analysis. The show concentrates on theological topics, historical matters, and philosophical problems with content ranging from introductory material to in-depth examinations. And now, your host, Michael Lofton.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Your host, Michael. Looking through the comments here, and you'll have me cracking up trying to guess what the announcement is in light of it also being April 1st. So somebody was mentioning this is literally the worst day to make an announcement. True. That is most certainly the case. I can't say that this is the day that I really wanted to, prefer to make an announcement, but I needed to make it. And I've kind of known about it for a few weeks here, but I said, okay, April 1st is when I'm going to let everyone know. And I didn't think of the fact that, man, April 1 is also April Fool's. And I realized it a few days before, and I just said, oh man, it is what it is. Somebody said, are you joining the Orthodox? That's hilarious. And that's of course the Eastern Orthodox, for those who aren't familiar. Some have speculated that I'm going to Protestantism, back to Protestantism, or that I'm going to Orthodoxy. Somebody says you're pregnant. Wouldn't that be something? No, the real announcement is that my books back here are really cardboard. They're really made of cardboard. They're not real. That's the real announcement. Obviously, I'm joking. That's not it. And that's the April Fool's announcement. The next one is the real one. And I've seen a few have even, it's like a few have even guessed it in the comments. And I imagine most of y'all kind of knew it was coming anyway. But the big announcement is that I'm now doing Reason and Theology full time. So I submitted my 2 weeks notice to my employer, and I'll be doing this full time, which the thing is, I've kind of already been doing R&D full time. I've been doing it full time in addition to my full time employer. So it's kind of like I've had 2 full time jobs and I've been exhausted. And somebody is still noting in the chat, April Fool's. No. This is real life. This is a real announcement. I was actually going to pull the trigger on this a few weeks ago, but I just, thought a little bit more about it and said, I'm going to give myself to April 1st. And again, I did not think of the fact that April 1st is April Fool's. So whatever. So my last day will be, with my employer, will be April 15th. And we'll be doing the show full time exclusively. Like I said, I've already been doing the show full time, but now it will be just something that I can focus on, which it's been incredibly hard to do up until this point. I've been very exhausted. I've had very, very little opportunity to prepare for any of the shows, the scheduling, and all the other stuff that's involved with it, making the images, timestamps, every other thing that you do with the YouTube channel. It's been overwhelming. But I've been able to push through up until this point. But I've likened it to, how when you're working out, you're knocking out the reps really, really, really fast at first. Well, you know that you shouldn't be knocking them out fast. You do know that, right? Go slow. But okay, the point is, at first when you start working out, you're knocking out those reps. But after a while, you get to the point, it's like, okay, I can't go anymore. And then you finally get to that last rep that it's like, I can't even initiate this thing, let alone finish it, right? I'm at the point where I can't move. My muscles are killing me. And they're failing me, right? You get to that point. That's where I've been. I've been at that last point where I can't keep doing this. Something has to give, and it's either going to be R&T or my secular career. And I just said, look, I'm going to go out on a leap of faith here. I need to commit to one of these exclusively, and I don't think my calling in life is health insurance. So y'all might disagree, but but it sure seems like, that, to me, that isn't my calling. Even though what I was doing is training people in health insurance. Wasn't just, selling it. It was more teaching and training. But I mean, you get to the point where you have to really say, is this really what I want to do with my life? And I'm at a crossroads point, and I need to commit to one exclusively. And I got to that point, and I said, okay, I should I take a leap of faith? What should I do? And I prayerfully considered this along with my wife. We prayerfully considered this. And the day that I was at a breaking point, that I said, I just can't do this anymore, I really began to pray and ask God for discernment. And I'm not big into signs and things like that, because you could always interpret them in multiple ways. So it's kind of like, even though I know that they're used in scripture on occasion, on the whole, I don't put a whole lot of stock into that, because again, you can often interpret some of these things in multiple ways unless it's just really overwhelmingly clear. But I mean, within the hour of at that breaking point where I was in prayer, just saying, God, what do I need to do at this point? Do I need to just, do I need to go out on a leap of faith at this moment? And I got the sign that I needed. I won't indicate what it was, but for me, a person who is naturally skeptical, for me, it was, even for me as a skeptic, it was kind of like, man, okay, I think that's pretty clear that this is what I need to commit to. I need to just commit to doing the show full time. So that's going to help me just as far as my overall health to begin with. I'll be a whole lot stressed and exhausted. Although I imagine I'll be investing even more energy into R&T now than I was before. But what I'll be doing is adding a lot of extra patron content in addition to content that's made available for everyone. So we're not actually going to lose any content, even if you're not a patron or anything like that. You're not losing any content. In fact, I'll be doing more. And on top of that, I will be doing daily content for patrons as well. So I'm going to be adding extra content. I polled some people, I polled everybody a few weeks ago, and it seems like everybody was, on the whole, preferred the content that I'm offering so far as the frequency. They preferred the amount that I'm offering and didn't feel like I need to, offer less. So I'm going to continue to not only offer what I'm offering now, as far as the frequency of what's available for everyone on the channel, but like I said, additional stuff daily for patrons. Before, I could not do a lot of patron-only content because I was already just kind of overworked with what I was already doing. But now, yeah, going to be doing daily patron content. And I'll also have extra time to prepare for the shows. I mean, I know I've mentioned it before on shows, but I almost have zero prep time as far as studying material and things like that for the shows that I do. It's incredibly minimal, and I don't like that. I want to have additional prep time if possible, and I'll have a whole lot more at this point. So, yeah, it's exciting stuff. And those of you who are already patrons, though, you can already expect the daily content even prior to April the 15th. So y'all be on the lookout for more stuff. In fact, y'all already probably know I've been posting stuff the last week daily. It's been hard to do, but I've been doing it. I see a bunch of ones in the chat. What is one? What are ones? Press one for yes. Who here wants more public audience comedy hour? I mean, we could do it. Are you sure? Are you sure you want it public though? Are we sure it shouldn't be patron only? Yeah, I can do more for sure. Comedy hour has been, I have mixed feelings about it. I enjoy it personally, and I know there are a lot of people who really like comedy hour. They're diehard comedy hour fans, but there's also some people that have felt like, okay, comedy hour is uncharitable. That's not the intention, but I understand why people would have that, and kind of feel like, okay, this is uncharitable, or at least it could be interpreted as uncharitable, so it's not a good look. So yeah, I've had mixed feelings on that one. So and I've had mixed feedback. Colin Gordon, thank you for the super chat. You're in spiritual health insurance now. That's one way to look at it, right? That's definitely one way to look at it. It's scary. It's really scary because, that my current employer, that's my primary income. It has been my primary income, and without it, there's definitely risk, and it's scary. Somebody says you quit Catholic Cancers already. No. I'm continuing to work with them, but it's part-time with Catholic Cancers. It's an affiliate apologist position, so it's a part-time thing. If it develops into something more than that, that'd be awesome. But if it doesn't, that's fine. Whatever the Lord wills, whatever He has intended for me, I resign myself to it. And I'm having to do so now because I don't know what's next. But I kind of feel like, if you're going to do something in life that's really worth doing, you need to go all out. You need to really invest yourself into it, and you're going to have to take risks. And if I take this risk and I fail, you know what? I at least tried. But I don't believe that that's going to be the case. I think that the show is going to continue to benefit people and help people. So I think that is what's going to happen. Sean McKinney says, "You have my ex." What was that from? Was that Lord of the Rings? Yeah, I think it was Lord of the Rings, right? Oh man, it's been so long since I've seen it. I love it. You have my ex. That's the best comment I've seen so far from, again, Sean McKinney there. Somebody said smooth tie. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's my Donald Trump tie. I got the Donald Trump look today with the blue jacket, white shirt, and the red tie. Not that that's exclusive to Donald Trump, but for some reason I have that imprinted in my mind as associated with Trump. Gamer says, "Am I bow?" Jay says, "Am I sword?" Yeah, so this is Lord of the Rings. I think I got the reference right. Say by Truth says people need to laugh. I agree. Like I said, I like the comedy hour, but some people it's kind of, Lucas says, "Congrats, Michael. We'll make sure to subscribe to support you in the path you are taking." I really appreciate that. Thank you. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. It really does support me. Also, of course, the biggest platform to support me, what helps the most would be Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/Reason in Theology, that's probably the most helpful way for me, at least. But if you want to instead support me by hitting the join button here on YouTube and becoming an RNT member on YouTube, that's fine as well. That's perfectly fine. Um, whichever you prefer, you get access to the same extra perks either way. The extra content, whether you do it on Patreon or on the channel as far as a YouTube member. Either way, you'll get access to the same extra content. The only difference that I've seen is that um, people who are supporting me on the channel members, I can identify them in the chat, and so I can give priority to their comments. And they have badge recognition, stuff like that. So like in Slave by Truth, I know he supports me on the channel because boom, I see right on there, there's a little logo next to him. So I'm able to identify those and give priority to the comments and questions that I see from them. Will you take the dogma to Mount Radtrad? That's funny. Oh, this is hilarious. Michael's coworkers will miss his strange out of the blue comments about Aquinas and health insurance. You know what? There's some truth to this. There's some truth to it. You know what really got me thinking, and this was actually a few years ago, it was kind of embarrassing, but you know what really got me thinking? I was, training a class, and you're right. I do make references to philosophy and things like that, or hieroglyphs, or just whatever. I'll make all kinds of references. History, theology, philosophy. And, one person, like I said, it was kind of embarrassing. One person was like, you know all this stuff. Why are you here training people in health insurance? And like I said, I was a little embarrassed because it's true. Why am I doing that? But you're right. I do spice references, philosophical and theological references here and there. That's funny. Are you working full time with RNT now because you are paid by the Jesuits and Bishop Barron? No, I'm. And can you afford more cardboard books? Well, no to both. I'm paid by viewers, so patrons. So I would appreciate y'all's support if y'all would consider supporting me if you're not already. For those of y'all who have been supporting me, either on YouTube or Patreon, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You've made this possible. I've been telling y'all, I appreciate your support. You're making this transition possible. I've been letting y'all know that. That this is why. Because I knew I was going to be making this transition. I've known it for a long time, but it's kind of like, I didn't know exactly when I was going to do it. But about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, somewhere around there, I got to that breaking point where I said, I can't do this anymore. Now, I was actually ready to resign that day, but I said, okay, let me not be impulsive. I don't want to be impulsive. Let me just kind of, pray a little bit more about it and think more about it. And I did so. And I looked at the calendar and I just said, the first of this month, I can't do another month. So let's just do April 1, which again, I did not take into account April Fools. So again, this is not April Fools. This is real. Patrick says, I think it's impossible for you to fail. I appreciate that. I really appreciate the support and the encouraging words. I really don't think that I'm going to fail. I feel that the channel will be successful and will benefit many people. If, however, in God's providence, he decides otherwise, okay. All right. I'm fine with that. I've gotten to a point in my life where obviously I do care about things and I do have desires and aspirations and goals, but I've gotten to the point in life where it's kind of like, once you go through enough, you get to the point that you just have to kind of resign yourself to God's will. And I got to that point a while back, and I continue to maintain that today. So again, even if it's not the Lord's will, okay, there will be something else. Um, but I just have a feeling that mm, I don't think that that's going to be the case. I don't think that it's going to be something else. I think it will be me doing this channel and more and other things, apologetics and more, not less. I think the axe, sword, and bow are made of cardboard, though. Probably so. Uh, let's see. Levity is the joy of RNT. A few more comedy hours, please. Yeah, I mean, for sure for patrons, but I've kind of wondered again, should I make them for everybody? Sometimes it gives people the wrong impression. So, if you kind of watch somebody's video and you think, wow, this is absolutely ridiculous, and you point that out, how bad of a theological position they're maintaining, some people feel that's uncharitable, which I don't think it's necessarily so. Michael is the Thanos of health insurances. I like Thanos, but I don't know the connection there. Let's see. I get you. I'm a programmer and I spice my code with philosophy and theology. Preach everywhere. Awesome. I've studied a little bit of code, and I don't know how you add philosophy and theology to it. I like that. Now we could do an in-person RNT meetup. It's already on the schedule. Well, I think what you might mean is for all fans. Yeah, maybe I've thought about that. If there's enough interest, I would be willing to do a conference in a larger city. It obviously won't be here in Monroe. Chicago has definitely been on my mind. I think that would be a good place to do it. Somewhere up north. Maybe Dallas, maybe even Dallas or Houston. Dallas would be very easy to do. I could do a conference in Dallas pretty easily if there's enough interest. But what I meant as far as a meetup is I'm going to have Eric and William. I'm flying them out for the 23rd. So yeah, today's the 1st. So this month. Michael's wearing a suit. Oh man, this is serious. I know, right? I mean, the tattoos aren't out. So I mean, that's how you know this is an April Fool's. Thank you for the super chat here. Sean Matthews says, congratulations. We're all rooting for you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. And I appreciate the support you've shown up to date as well for the channel. Thank you, Sean. All of y'all who have supported me up to this point, you're the ones who have made this possible. So I really appreciate y'all. The type of work that I do, trainer in health insurance. Again, not my calling in life. That being said, I'm incredibly grateful to my employer. I'll talk more about this on a later show, but I did want to mention this at some point. I might as well mention it now for maybe some of y'all who struggle with this. But I started there 10 years ago, and my daughter had just been born. I was struggling with OCD very badly. It was incredibly bad because stress often aggravates it. My OCD is incredibly minor at this point. I think the only thing that I even notice my OCD in is in being symmetrical on things. I tend to be symmetrical, and then also I have this constant urge to work and be productive. Not a bad thing necessarily. So, but I've kind of noticed it there. But other than that, it's pretty minor. But 10 years ago, it was incredibly bad. It was to the point that it was very debilitating. I was at a point where I could no longer function. I lost the job that I had at that time because of the OCD. It was so bad that I was unable to function. um, in my daily job, and so I was fired. And again, this was when I had my daughter just born, and everything was riding on my shoulders. And I got to the point where I was really considering just going on disability because the OCD was, I mean, like I said, it was really bad. But I got hired by this employer, and the stress immediately was lifted, and the OCD was almost non-existent after that. Um, it was kind of like one of those pursuit of happiness, moments, with Will Smith. It was like that for me, which is why to this day I can't even really watch that movie. It's just like it hits home too much for me because it feels like that's what I lived. And so I'm incredibly grateful to my employer because um, it really lifted me out of that situation. And I felt like sharing that, and I'll talk more about it and associate it with scrupulosity in a later show because I think that people need to hear that as well. But for people who are struggling and going through that or similar issues, um, yeah, you know what, it gets better. It really does get better, and you don't have to feel like you're going to have to live your whole life like that. No, especially if you're struggling with OCD. Um, Once you remove the factor that's really aggravating it, such as stress, a lot of that will go away. Now, obviously, there's different forms of OCD, and sometimes it's a little bit more complicated than that. But I'm just kind of speaking generally here. So I share that with those who may be discouraged if they're going through the same thing. It does get better. And again, I also say that to say, even though I don't feel like health insurance is my calling in life, I'm incredibly grateful to um, my employer for having given me that opportunity. And, I know they didn't regret it. And I was incredibly grateful and still am grateful and always will be. And I don't think they realized how much they saved my life at that time because it could have it could have gone a very different direction, dealing with OCD when it's really aggravated like that. It could have gone a very different direction. All right, enough of that. Brian Denlinger needs more attention. Is he still doing videos? Samuel says, wait, so what's the announcement? Doing RNT full time exclusively as of April 15th will be my last day with my employer. Do I know the origins of April Fools? Offhand, I can't recall. Do I have anyone else that I want to interview, or have you interviewed everyone you really want by now? Man, I've got to interview almost everybody that I've ever wanted to interview. I've been blessed to be able to do that, over probably 190 interviews at this point in just a little over 3 years. I really wanted NT Wright, and he was scheduled one day in the morning of he got sick, and haven't been able to get that going again. Thank you for the super chat there, Jared. He says, God bless you always, Michael. This show means a lot to me. I'm looking forward so much to these next few months, especially from Sydney, Australia. Thank you. Thank you. What time is it over in Sydney? Again, I appreciate the super chat, but I'm kind of curious. What time is it over there? Let's see. Looking through the chat. Come to New Orleans for a meetup. Yeah, I'm often in New Orleans. I think that would be fun. Houston, somebody says. I was just there, I think last week. Yeah. Sean, yeah, thank you for your super chat there, Sean. Chicago is way more Catholic. Seems like there's a whole bunch of fans of RNT in the Chicago area. Because when I only had 2,000 subscribers and I went up north, there was a whole bunch of people that knew the show in that area. So it seems like that's kind of like a really, really Catholic area. Did Bishop Barron up your funding? Bishop Barron doesn't even know who I am. He has no idea who I am. Go to the Vatican for a meetup. I'd like to actually go to the Vatican and do a pilgrimage there. I am leading a pilgrimage to the Holy Land April next year. That will be Israel, and I'd like to do Rome after that if there's enough interest in the Holy Land one. So we'll see how that one goes. You could do insurance training content for premium members. I could. I'm licensed in it, and I've taught it for a good 7 years. But Medicare, exchange, Obamacare, all that. Again, not my passion, and I hope to never talk about it ever again after April 15th. But it's a good skill to have. It's good to understand insurance and how it works. So I'm not complaining. Late to the party, congrats. Jeff says, thank you. I appreciate that. Seeing a lot of comedy hour chats. I know about OCD from a family member. So glad you managed that down and why good employers can be so important. Yeah, I'm telling you. Like it was bad. Like I was, at the point where I'd have to check the lock at night, maybe 50, 60 times. Turn the alarm clock on and off to make sure that it's fully on 50, 60 times, just all kinds of stuff that was just really hard to function in life day to day. And like I said, when that stress was lifted, that stuff was gone. It was gone. So I knew it was stress aggravating it, but it's like I need a job. I gotta provide for my family. So suggestion for patron members perk: Lofton gets to listen to any non-liturgical Christian song you want. Please don't make me listen to country. Excuse me. As long as it's not country, I'm good. I'll check it out. What else we got? Would I interview fake Sister Lucy? Yeah, I would if there was one, sure. Tom says, "Congrats, Mike! Amazing. This channel has blown up over the past year. Keep up the great content." Thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate that. I should interview Will Smith. That would be an interesting interview. I would ask him some questions that I don't think he would be happy with me asking, though. So I don't know if he'd agree to that. I said I still have to interview Taylor Marshall and James White one day. I mean, Taylor Marshall is welcome to come on the show. I'd be more than happy to talk to him. James White, you know what? I don't know if I would have him on at this point. I've contacted him probably in over the course of 2 years, probably through different avenues, because I don't know if he ever received any of the messages, but maybe 4 or 5 different avenues to try to reach out to him, and never got confirmation that he even received my message. So I'm good. I'm good on that one. Congrats on the news. I'm thankful for your channel. Harrison Hagen says, thank you so much for the super chat, and I appreciate the kind words there. Thank you. Like I said, it's been y'all supporting me, up until this point that's really made this happen. So I'm incredibly grateful for all of you. And I think that you can expect not only what I've been offering so far, but even more and higher quality and even higher standards. Just everything as a whole is going to step up here at R&T. Thank you so much, Michael Baumert, for the super chat. Happy for you, brother. Best show on the YouTubes. The YouTubers. Yeah. Again, thank you for that It's a super chat. Yeah, whenever I hear the YouTubes, I think of people who would, call in to my employer for the health insurance, and they would ask different questions, and maybe an email or something like that would be asked of the member, and they would say, well, I don't really use the internets. I don't use the YouTubes. The internets is RNT pilgrimage to Mount Athos. Would they let me in Mount Athos? Or on Athos, I should say. Jared, thank you for the super chat there. He says 2 a.m. Just kidding, 10 a.m. Okay, so it's 10 a.m. in Australia right now. What time is it over here? 6 Central? Man, that's wow. Yeah. 10 a.m. Yeah, that's a good time for you. Continue to look through the chat here. Thoughts on former Louisiana Bishop Faber? He's our new pointing hat in Louisville. I'm not familiar with Bishop Faber. I wonder which diocese was he from. I'm most obviously familiar with Diocese of Shreveport here. Not ringing a bell. Not ringing a bell. I'm sorry. I think we have 5 dioceses here in Louisiana, and I don't know the bishops of all 5, so I imagine he's one of the ones that I don't know then. Oh man, for every platinum patron member, Michael would have to listen to Ordain a Lady song. That song gets stuck in your head. I remember Wretched Radio originally playing that years and years and years ago. Yeah, it gets stuck in your head, man. That is penance, though, having to listen to Ordain a Lady. What else we got in the chat? I knew you were fake, Sister Lucy from another multiverse. You got me. You figured it out. Well, does that mean they're hiring? I might need a second job for a while to pay off debt. I need the second job to pay off debt, but I can't do it anymore. I'm at that last rep, and I can't even finish pulling the dumbbell up. I'm done. I'm out. I gotta just focus on one and commit to one exclusively, and it would be so much. My life would be a lot better if I could continue in some ways to work both. But I can't. I just can't. Like I said, I got to that breaking point where I said I can't do this anymore. And I've been at that point for a while, but I finally got to that point that it's like, it's really at that breaking point where, nah, I'm done. When you start having dreams that you've quit and you're doing RNT full time, and these are recurring dreams at night, it's time. And that wasn't the sign, by the way. Let's see what else we got in the chat. River Run, thank you for the support of the channel and also for the super chat here. I appreciate that. He says good work. Thank you. Still looking through. I see a whole bunch of ones again. RNT interview of Father James Martin. I'd be willing to interview him. But I'm going to ask questions that I don't think that he's going to want to answer. And that's the problem. If he's willing to allow me to charitably and respectfully ask whatever concerns I might have with his ministry, then sure, he's welcome to come on. I'd like to talk to him. Yes. But I don't think that that's going to happen. You have the best Catholic channel, bumper video, music, hands down. Respects. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. Welcome to Houston. Hudson says you're on your way, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Chocolate milk or orange juice. I like chocolate milk, although I almost never drink it. But I would go with chocolate milk first. Interview Richard Rohr. I bet he would be a big fan. That's another example. I would interview him. but I would ask some questions that I don't think he would want to answer. And yeah, I would do so charitably. But again, a lot of these people don't want to put themselves in a position that they have to answer um, candidly to concerns. Um, so yeah, I don't think he'd be interested. River Run, thank you for the super chat. He says, "Yeah, I want an interview with a serious um, progcath. What's progcath? I don't know what that is. Maybe I should know." TL Putnam, who we had on the show with the going over a tutorial verbum, which was incredibly helpful and excellent. Go and check that show out. He says, "I got here late, so I missed the announcement. And why would you make a big announcement on April 1st, right?" I know it wasn't really. I didn't think through that one when I originally chose April 1. I didn't really think through that one, but it was more out of necessity. I got to the point where it's like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And the announcement, of course, is that I put in my 2 weeks notice for my secular employer and will be focused on the show full time. Again, maybe I could have chose a different day, but I'm at that point where I need to commit to one, and it is what it is. Let's see. I think Benjamin says, "I think you would ask questions he couldn't answer, either in reference to Richard Rohr or Father James Martin." Yeah, or wouldn't want to answer. Let's see. Am I going to watch the Kenobi show that's coming out? I didn't know they had a Kenobi show. Like Star Wars Kenobi, right? I didn't know. What's it on? What do you think the next pope will be like? As I've mentioned for the last several years, I think the next pope will be more on the left and more of a concern than the present pontificate. Mm-hmm. I do believe that. Looking just at the College of Cardinals and knowing that Pope Francis was kind of like the happy middle selection during his election, and since then a whole bunch of cardinals that are more problematic have been added. I think that just makes it inevitable that the next pontificate is going to be really rough, really rough, and it's going to test the faith of many. And if you're not prepared, you're going to probably be scandalized and leave the Catholic Church. So you better get prepared. And I talk very often on this channel about how to be prepared for things like that. So, let's see. What else we got in the chat? I'm looking through. Would I ever consider doing an interview with Maronite Bishop Elias Zidane from Western Eparchy of the United States? I would, if you can maybe send me the contact information. Please send it to reasonandtheology@gmail.com and just kind of put in the subject, that it's in reference to that, and I'll take a look and get in touch with them. But how will people get in health insurance now? I don't know. Not my problem. See, but that's the thing, though, right? I mean, with these kinds of jobs, you'll be replaced within probably less than 2 weeks. They'll already have a replacement. And not to say that they aren't grateful for me. They are, and I love them. I have nothing but good to say about them. But when it comes to jobs like that, you'll be replaced easily, just like that. So, not really something that I want to invest the rest of my life in, unless I have to. Let's see. Teresa says, "Congrats, fantastic news." Thank you, I appreciate that. Are you sure your former employer doesn't think your notice was a joke? I thought about that too, but I also CC'd HR on it. So So I mean, if that if that's a joke, that's like the worst joke. That's the worst April Fool's move ever. The CCHR. Could you imagine somebody did that? Could you imagine somebody CCing HR at an April Fool's joke quitting? Oh boy. Yeah, I thought of that and I accounted for that. And, and that was kind of like my counter to why I should still go through with it. But I was doing my best to just hold out to April 1 because I couldn't go any longer. So it is what it is. What is the list of bishops you would like to interview next? Would like or just would? Bishops or cardinals? Just as far as a bishop? I'd have to think about that. Yeah, I'd have to think more about that one. I'm open to suggestions. Kevin says, "Congrats, Michael." Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see. I should interview Bishop Umbers, the Bishop of Memes himself. I'll have to check him out. I've thought about interviewing Jerry Matitix. Yeah, so somebody mentions that here in the chat. Francis, the happy middle. That's what they say, is that he was kind of like the one that they chose, as a happy medium. And I'm just thinking, boy, okay. Pope Francis is barely left, maybe, but I do think that there's a fair amount of criticism that can be offered for the current pontificate. It needs to be done so charitably. And we do not need to misrepresent Pope Francis. We do not need to do that. Stop doing that if you're doing that. Please stop doing that. On the other hand, we don't need to go to the other extreme and act like there's just nothing that can be criticized in the current pontificate. That's not at all the case. I did a show earlier challenging Cardinal Marx and his most recent comments. And yes, I note the fact that Pope Francis is responsible for some of that, even though if his Cardinal Marx's views aren't necessarily reflective of Pope Francis's views. Okay, but he turned in his resignation a while back, and he just said, "No, you don't need to resign." He kept him, so he has a hand in this. But again, I think that if we're going to offer some criticism, it needs to be done so charitably, respectfully, especially considering that he's the Pope. And definitely not misrepresent him. Do the best to give him the judgment of charity and the benefit of the doubt until it's just impossible to do so, and then to criticize respectfully. That's my position when it comes to addressing concerns with Pope Francis. I also don't want to focus on nothing but that. Because I think that if you make your entire apostolate about focusing on what others are doing wrong, it's eventually going to scandalize people. If all you do is focus on scandal, it's going to scandalize people, inevitably. That doesn't mean that we bury our head in the sand and never challenge scandal. I think we need to have a balance, is all I'm saying. Just balance it out. That's all I'm saying. And do so respectfully and charitably, and stop straw manning Pope Francis. In fact, the next video I'm doing, I intended to do, was actually going to be this one, but I ended up doing the Cardinal Marx one earlier today. Well, the point is, I was actually going to do during lunch. I meant at 12 earlier today. I was going to do the video that I'm about to tell you about, but I ended up pulling an audible and doing Cardinal Marx. But okay, so the video is going to be whether or not Pope Francis taught heresy in Amoris Laetitia. That needs to be addressed, because there are people who are saying that he taught heresy, and I don't think that's fair to Pope Francis. Whatever criticisms that we might offer against Pope Francis when it comes to Amoris Laetitia, we need to exclude the accusation of heresy, especially in the particular case that's being offered. So I'm going to address that. And but again, that being said, just because a lot of times these straw man doesn't mean that you can't offer some criticism as a layman in a respectful way on occasion. Well, I do a show on Jimmy Akin's polytheism. If y'all have not seen that clip where we had a caller who called in and accused Jimmy Akin of polytheism, go and look it up. It's hilarious. And no, Jimmy Akin is not a polytheist. He got a kick out of it when I sent it to him, though. The Pope will always be substantially a sea of unity, but could fail to be as uniting as he possibly could be. Yes, and so he's most certainly a sea of unity doctrinally, as far as what's doctrinally, objectively, officially promulgated. Yes, he is that, and so, but that's like the bare minimum, right? You don't want just the Pope to be the bare minimum of his job description. You want him to have more of an active role in the care of the flock, and some do that better than others. And I think that we can offer some legitimate criticism on how well Pope Francis does that. That being said, he's still meeting the minimum standard, but it's kind of like, do you really want to meet the minimum standard in your job? Well, still looking through the chat here. What else we got? I think we got some more super chats. Will I be doing a show on Catholic teachings on the Maccabean Revolt? I mean, I'm open to it. Maybe if you can email me more specifics, what you would like for me to address there. What's the announcement? Well, doing RNT full time. As of April 15th will be my last day with my secular employer. And no, this is not an April Fool's announcement. Is the whole show just an April Fool's joke? No. Most certainly not. I'm being dead serious right now. This is not April Fool's. Y'all have known that it's coming. I've been telling y'all. I've been saying, hey, I really appreciate y'all's support. I hope to be able to do this full time soon. I hope to be able to make an announcement soon. I've been saying that for a while now, if y'all haven't been paying attention. Thank you for the super chat, Ramses. Congrats, my regional bishop is Bishop Barron. If I see him, I should send him your way. Please do. I'd love to talk to him. Tradcat Skits says, congrats, bud. Very deserving. Glory to God. Thank you. I appreciate that, Fawaz. Thank you so much. He's got a new album coming out soon, y'all. So y'all make sure to check it out on his social media. Thank you for the super chat here from Jess. Would you do devil's advocate videos showing how you would steel man your opponent's defend changes to certain teachings? Yeah, I'm open to that. I think that I could do that. The first thing that comes to mind is Humane Vitae. What an opponent would say if they were going to take the position that Humane Vitae is not definitive. I think that would make for an interesting show. I do lean in the direction that it's definitive. But for those who say that, okay, it's not definitive yet, it's authoritative, but it's just non-definitive, they have some strong arguments. They do have some strong arguments. I'll give them that, and those are worth exploring because those do need to be answered. Because if somebody is offering a strong critique of your position, I think you're obligated to address that if you're going to continue to maintain your position. So I do think it would be helpful to maybe start there. Still looking through the chat here. Would I interview Cardinal Supich? I would, but again, that's another example of I don't think that he would put himself in the position that he would allow me to interview him, because he'll probably want to know the questions in advance, and I will send him the questions in advance. And I don't know if he's going to want to answer some of them, because I do have some concerns. Would I try to get Cardinal Burke on the show? Yeah, I don't have his contact info, so maybe if one of y'all can send it to me, I can ask. What else? Jared, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. He says this might be a big question. How would I explain the document by the CDF on morality of COVID vaccines is authoritative, and what would be the theological censor for denial of this document? That's good. Yeah. I think it seems like I did this already on another show, but let's go to it together, and I'll tell you how to determine that it's authoritative. Let's see. Let me go to it just here on my phone. Note on the morality of some. What is it? And hold on, it's loading again. Well, hold on. Note on the morality of using some anti-COVID vaccines. Okay, so this is released by the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, which may not be magisterial if it's just by the CDF. So one thing that you want to do is go to the end of the document, and you want to see if it has been approved by the Pope. And then if it has been approved, has it been approved in common form, in specific form? Common form is it's approved by the Pope, so it's magisterial, but he doesn't necessarily approve every single line in there. He just kind of approves the general idea. Specific form is he has gone through, combed the thing line by line, and he approves everything specifically in it. So it's a little bit higher, right? In this case, the Sovereign Pontiff Francis, at the audience granted to the undersigned prefect of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith on 19th of December 2020, examined the present note and ordered its publication. Rome, from the offices of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. You'll note here that it doesn't mention specific or common form, which I think is more, okay, in that case, it's probably more common form. That being said, it's still authoritative, right? What theological censor would you have for a denial of the document? For opposing Catholic doctrine, the theological censor, let me go to, let's see, because they're categorized differently, by the way, depending on which manualist you consult as far as the theological censors. They'll categorize the notes differently and the censors differently in some cases, although there's some general consistency. Temerarious would be the theological censor in this case. Temerarious. That's the most common. I've heard some others as well, but that tends to be the one that comes up. I think over there on my shelf, Salivary. I think that's the one. I was just looking at it the other day. Yeah, that is the one that he uses as the censor for that particular note, Catholic doctrine. The deficiency with the theological notes, as I've mentioned many, many times, as much as I love the notes, there is a deficiency there. They need to be expanded. We need to work further with them. We need to expand them. We need to add more to them, because Catholic doctrine is the theological note for non-definitive authoritative doctrines. Yet that's one category for an incredibly broad group of teachings. So in other words, when it comes to Catholic doctrine, we need to insert a whole bunch of other categories there. That's one of the points that Dr. King in his dissertation, Dr. Lawrence King, mentions. Temerarious would be the theological censor. And generally the manualists are in agreement that it would be a grave sin to ordinarily fail to give religious submission of intellect and will to the propositions that are non-definitive yet authoritative, with incredibly rare Exceptions as noted by Donum Veritatis. Okay. Thank you, Michael Baumert, for the super chat. Will River Run reveal his true identity one day? He's the Batman of RT. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak for Rivers. Cardinal Tagle will definitely test my faith once he becomes Pope. There are those who speculate he will be the next. Jared, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Adeodata, which I love that name. Isn't that Augustine's, his son's name? Adeodatus. Means gift of God. Congrats for taking this step of faith, Michael and Dale Gratius. You look very, very happy. I'll be praying for you. Good luck and God bless. I appreciate that. And I'll probably look like I have more sleep in a couple of weeks. So I probably won't look so tired. Congratulations, Michael. You're doing what you love full time. My faith journey says, thank you so much. And that's true. I do enjoy doing apologetics and talking theology and hanging out with y'all in the chat here. Let's see. Thank you, Jared, for the super chat. Praise the Lord for his goodness and mercy. Indeed. I agree. Can you do a show on the strongest objections to the papacy? I think we did that before. I know it was probably a year and a half or so ago. But yeah, that was, we've done that one already. Would I let the dog come on camera? Man, I don't know how I would manage. He's like a bull in the china shop. He's a big one. And as soon as he gets in here, he just starts going crazy. So I have to kick him out usually. So I don't know how I would bring him in here. Cardinal Burke and I are meeting in a month. Well, Father Brown, if you can maybe ask him if you're willing to come on Reason and Theology, just shoot an email to reasonandtheology@gmail.com. I know he's familiar with me. At least he was a while back. I don't know if he still recalls who I am. Maybe not. So yeah, if you can put in a word there, I would appreciate it. What else we got? Let's see. I think we got some more super chats. RNT full time. Nice April Fool's joke. No, it's not April Fool's. Well, I mean, it is April Fool's, but this is not an April Fool's joke. Let's see. Yeah. Human Resources sure doesn't think it's an April Fool's joke. RNT, Luke says, RNT is guilty of me saying, well, actually, and too many theology related discussions. Well, you know what? That's actually a compliment. I appreciate that. Are you keeping that smooth tie for future streams? I am. I like this one. I think this is, Sean John. This is a Sean John one. So it's a P. Diddy tie. So yeah, I like this one. This is, in fact, my favorite. Definitely keeping it. Thank you for the soup chat. Trackcat Skid says, I wanted to start your new venture with funds for 1 gallon of gas. Thank you. 1 gallon. Yeah, that's about right. That's about right. Last time I was at the pump. Let's see. What else we got? Why do cops have a pope? I've heard he's the successor of St. Mark. Well, he's a pope in the sense that he's a patriarch, right? Pope just means father. So, I mean, loosely speaking, you could call any priest a pope. But it was especially assigned to bishops and then later on patriarchs, especially of the See of Alexandria. And then it kind of became exclusively, at least in the Latin church, associated with just the Bishop of Rome, but very loosely speaking, just Pope means father. And so, but he doesn't have the same role as a Pope does in the Catholic Church. RNT clip channel and RNT shorts channel. I've thought about it, but it's like I don't have enough subs on the main channel to justify a highlight channel, in my opinion. I mean, we're at 18K, and I'm grateful for every subscriber. Don't get me wrong, but I kind of feel like the ones who do highlight, channels are usually already at like 100K, and so I don't know if I'd have enough to actually who would subscribe to it. If y'all disagree and y'all want me to go ahead and create one, I'll do it. I don't have a problem with that. But I just kind of felt like I don't know if there would be enough people that would see it versus just posting it on the main channel, because again, when I see it, it's usually associated with really, really, really high sub channels. Sean Matthew, it is thank you for the soup chat. It is more fitting for the people to be silent during the liturgy and let just the priest offer the prayers rather than have them chant a lot. Or he's asking a question: is it more fitting for the priest to be silent during the liturgy, for the people to be silent and let the priest offer the prayers rather than having them chant a lot? I don't think it's more fitting, but I also don't think that in the Roman Rite, when this happens, that it's wrong or evil or bad. I think that it's a difference between good versus ideal. I don't want to at all say that the history of the Roman Rite in the last, however many 100 years is sinful. No, it's not. So I'm not going to go there. I think that it's good. Is that the ideal expression of the liturgy? I don't think so. But and I've said that even before I went Eastern Rite. I was saying that back when I was still, just Latin Rite. I don't think that's the ideal. It's most certainly not the ideal historically. I don't think it's the ideal just period in general, historically or not. But it's not the difference between sinful and ideal. It's the difference between good and ideal. So if we're talking fitting, no, it's not fitting. Legitimate, yes. Didn't the Alexandrian title Pope come from St. Cyril being a papal legate? I don't think that it was that. I thought that title was in use prior to St. Cyril. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you have a primary source indicating otherwise, please let me know. Enslaved by Truth says build the main channel. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I've thought. I don't think it's big enough to do a highlight channel. Matt Frad, Dr. Marshall, it makes sense for them. Right. They have a large enough channel to justify, smaller highlight channels and stuff like that. I don't think I have that kind of, obviously I don't have that kind of platform, but I don't think I have enough of a platform to justify a second channel yet. And that's, again, not to say I'm ungrateful for everybody who subscribed. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm just saying to justify a second channel, I don't think we're there yet. Maybe when we get to 100K, I would be willing to do that, which I believe we will get to 100K. I think that we'll get to even more than that. Not that it's ultimately about numbers. I don't think it's ultimately about numbers. If I did, I would be promoting all of the rad trad theories every single day. That's all I would do. If all I cared about was numbers, first of all, I wouldn't even be doing Christian YouTube. That's first of all. I would be doing something secular on YouTube. But if for some reason I was just going to care about numbers in a Christian context, yeah, I would just be promoting all kinds of rad trad theories every single day and just talking about all the scandals of the church every single day. And I guarantee I'd be at a good 300,000 subscribers, if not more than that. But numbers is not like, though I don't want to say it's nothing, it's unimportant. No, it's important because you want to communicate your message to as many people as possible. Sure. So I don't want to say it's not important, but I also don't want to say that that's the primary, that should be the motivating factor. No, truth, what's good for souls, what's helpful to people, that's what should be primary, not, oh, well, what will get more subscribers? That's no, and I'll never ever be comfortable with saying, oh, that's what's first is subscribers. No. Because I feel that I would have to sacrifice certain things like truth and what's good for people that I don't feel I can do in good conscience, because I think what's popular today is stuff that's harmful for people. Not all of it. I'm not saying everything out there that's popular is harmful, but what I'm saying is a lot of the popular stuff that you see in some Catholic circles is, in my opinion, harmful. Not all of it, but a lot. Still looking through the chat here. Let's see. Still looking through. I think there's a soup chat here. Thank you, Jared. Letter from the Chalcedonian Syriac Maronites who were persecuted by the non-Chalcedonians in the year 517 to Hormisdas addresses him as universal pastor of the church. So okay, what are you referring? Are we talking about the Pope of Alexandria or the Pope? Well, you're talking about Pope Hormisdas. Okay, so the Roman bishop. I guess I'm confused. The context: letter from the Chalcedonian Syriac Maronites who are persecuted by the non-Chalcedonians in the year 517. The Pope addresses them as universal pastor of the church. Yeah, I mean, I've done multiple shows on the formula of Hormisdas and how they point to supremacy and even papal infallibility, and that's even conceded by several Orthodox scholars. So yeah, it's a good point. Have I seen Lamont's recent paper on the lyceity of the Novus Ordo? I have not. If you can email it to me, reasonandtheology@gmail.com. Let's see. Still looking through the chat. I heard from a Byzantine priest that at Vatican II, the Byzantine bishops basically opted out of liturgical reform. Opted out? I don't know. That doesn't sound right. Because some of Sacrosanctum Concilium applied to all rites, not just the Roman rite. So that doesn't sound right to me. And there were some liturgical reforms to the Eastern churches afterwards, and some of them were actually good, in a positive direction, de-Latinizing their rites and encouraging them to bring back vespers and stuff like that. So I'm not so sure about that. I don't know. Do I know if Trent Horn holds departum partum or material sufficiency? I don't know. I don't know what his view is there. I'm not sure. It's a good question. We Maronites were persecuted for being Chalcedonian and wrote to the Pope to describe our persecutions. I imagine that's like a follow-up to the Hormisdas comment. Yeah, I do think that the Hormisdas formula does point to the papal claims and papal supremacy, and so I think it's a good argument to bring up, especially when it comes to discussions with the Orthodox. Let's see. Is there anything else? I hope I didn't miss anyone's super chats. Sean Matthew, thank you for the super chat here. Why is the people chanting during liturgy more ideal than them being silent? Still a little confused on this matter. Yeah, it's a fair question. Because I think that's more, number one, in conformity with how this was done in the first century, of course, coming from the synagogue worship. It's more in accord with that, in addition to the fact that it's more patristic, but you might still ask for but why? Okay, well, I think it's more fitting that we have some kind of active vocal participation than not. I mean, why not? Why not participate with all of your being? When you look at the Psalms, it talks about singing, making a joyful noise and singing unto the Lord. It seems like God wants us to express praises to him fully with our mouths as well as our intentions. So I think it's good to express that fully, which includes vocally. So that's one of the reasons why I would argue for it. Um, let's see. Hmm. Do Orthodox hold to a more part and part of view of material sufficiency? It depends on which Orthodox you talk to, but I remember the first one that I really learned material sufficiency from was Florovsky. Look through his collected works, Volume 1, where he goes over the Bible and tradition. He's arguing material sufficiency in there. I don't know if he calls it that, but he's arguing it conceptually. But I imagine there's plenty of Orthodox who would disagree with him. And I've heard many Orthodox who take a different view. But there is no official view. Well, I think I got all of the super chats, so might end it there. I might do a patron only show tonight. So if y'all do want to consider supporting me and getting access to extra content, check out the link right here on the screen, patreon.com/reason and theology. Again, that goes to support what I'm doing, because now I'm doing this full-time exclusively as of April 15th. So if you believe in what we're doing here and you want to support the platform and the content, definitely consider Patreon or hitting the join button. It should be, I don't see it on my screen, but probably somewhere right around there. There's a join button on YouTube itself where you can join the channel and you'll get access to extra perks, again, including extra content that I'm going to be posting daily for patrons, in addition to the daily stuff that I'm post accessible to everyone, because I still want to make daily content for everyone so that everyone has access to, stuff that needs to be addressed and good content for no cost. I really believe that's incredibly important, especially the stuff that addresses things that are confusing people spiritually. I think that needs to be available to everyone. Okay. Michael says you're a breath of fresh air filled with conviction without being full of suspicion. I appreciate that. Yeah. The suspicion, the hermeneutic of suspicion, as River Run has called it, what Scripture calls evil suspicion. Yeah, I try to avoid it. I try to. I don't know if I'm always successful, but I do try to give the judgment of charity. So, all right. Again, I appreciate everybody. I would most certainly ask you to consider, hitting the subscribe button if you haven't already. I've noticed when I've looked at the analytics, probably 40% of the viewers aren't subbed, which is fine. I mean, you're welcome to watch the show without being subscribed, but I do ask that you would consider subscribing because it does help build the platform and helps just a little bit financially. YouTube does not help a whole lot financially, but it's better than nothing. But like I said, I would appreciate considering Patreon or becoming a member of the channel. That helps out a whole lot more, so that I can now do this full time. So again, please consider doing so. Hit the like button too if you haven't already. And like I said, hit that subscribe button. I do want to mention realestateforlife.org if you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, and you want to have a real estate agent who shares your faith. Be sure to check them out, realestateforlife.org. They'll get you hooked up if you go and check them out. Really great people. All right, that's going to do it, y'all. I think I hope I didn't miss anybody's super chats. Please, you said my apology if I did, but I think I got to everybody. All right, like I said, we'll probably do something later on for patrons, but that's going to do it for now. So I appreciate y'all watching and supporting me, and especially those of y'all who have been patrons and members of RNT and RSub. Thank you so much for your support for making this happen. And no, this is not an April Fool's video. All right, we'll see y'all later. God bless. Hey, RNT fans, if you're looking to buy a home or sell a home and would like a realtor who shares your beliefs, be sure to check out our sponsor, realestateforlife.org, and be sure to tell them Reason and Theology sent you.
Can a personal planner really make you a saint? The truth is, many of us spend our lives running from distraction to distraction. And even for dedicated Catholics, our quest for sainthood often takes a back seat. The Saint Maker is the first high-performance planner for the spiritual life made by faithful Catholics for faithful Catholics. Combining the practices of Catholic faithful throughout time with the science of personal productivity, the Saint Maker will help you grow in virtue and structure your spiritual life while getting organized and achieving ambitious goals. And that can help you become a saint. The Saint Maker is a beautiful, easy-to-carry, and well-crafted companion to your Missal, Bible, and Rosary. Published 4 times per year, each season includes daily planning pages, feast days, and devotions for both forms of the liturgical calendar, goal-setting pages, confession journals, and much more. There are lots of great Catholics using the Saint Maker, like Scott Williams, CEO of Sock Religious, best-selling author Sam Guzman, YouTubers like Dina Barca and Amber Schneider, and priests like Father Dean Marshall and Father Corey Stika. Try the Saint Maker out, and if you decide that it's not for you, you can send it back for a full refund within 90 days. Visit thesaintmaker.com to shop the planners. Quantities are limited, so head over to thesaintmaker.com to order yours and start your Saint Maker journey today.